Support WrestleTalk!
Tell a friend. What are our picks for the Superstar Shake-Up? Good grief, I hate that term. It's a draft. I'm Ollie Davis, this is Luke Owen. Welcome to WrestleRamble, and in a few days' time, on Monday, Raw will open presumably with both sets of authority figures from the two WWE brands, and they'll have a few backstage skits maybe, doing some last-minute deals, some trades, or what happened last year. People just come out.
I was going to say, I think last year didn't The Miz open the show, or was it Dean Ambrose open the show, or one of the two opened the show, and that was like, oh wow! So both of those have moved across.
It was whatever it was something incredibly anticlimactic and wasteful of other great concepts. Like if you're going to do a brand split which has a draft, make a big deal out of it. Put championships on the line. Have feuds and storylines and character relationships put in jeopardy by it.
Well, I do remember when last year, whichever one it came out first, either Dean Ambrose or The Miz came out, my first thought was like, oh, brilliant, because I don't want to see that feud continue between Dean Ambrose and The Miz. And then when the other bloody one came out, I was like, we just moved it from one brand to the other.
Was that? Oh yeah, because they were both on Raw. I've forgotten
No,
what's
they were
happened
both on
to Dean
SmackDown,
Ambrose.
and then they were moved to Raw.
It's remarkable how quickly I've forgotten about Dean Ambrose. I mean, spoiler, he's not in any of my picks.
No, I don't think he's in mine either.
Yeah, I didn't put a few injured guys, but that's not his fault. That's my fault. Sean Blanford is the person who asked this question. He wrote $25 pledge hammer here. What's a pledge hammer, Luke?
Pledge hammer is someone who donates to us on Patreon.
The elitist of the SWAF nation, and I am wondering what your thoughts are on who will be moved in the Superstar Shake-Up. My personal thoughts are to Raw, Jinder, Randy Orton, well, he's just written his finishing move, RKO there, Rusev Day.
That's technically his name, because it's Randall K. Orton.
Yeah, but Rusev's last name isn't Day.
But he might be moving Rusev along with Aiden English.
Did Rusev... Alexander Rusev, wasn't it?
It was.
I was trying to remember
Rusev,
that because everyone just becomes Neville at some point. Rusev has just become Rusev.
Remember Cesaro's first name?
It's not Claudio.
No.
Oh, don't tell me, Cesaro.
This is digging back a few years now. This is quite a number of years.
Was this back when didn't he debut with a Latino woman as a manager?
Did he?
Oh,
I don't remember that at all.
Swear down, bruv. Swear down he did.
This was when Cesaro, and like people who are watching wrestling now, like are just getting into wrestling, just like there was a time when he was like a champion. He was a US champion, an IC champion.
Antonio?
Correct.
Yes!
Antonio Cesaro.
Wow.
And then one day they just dropped it and he just became Cesaro.
I wonder who else is out there that we've just forgotten, that history's been rewritten. It's kind of like that's a ridiculous pop culture reference. It doesn't even relate to anything. Let's carry on. Baron Corbin. These are people to Raw, of course. Baron Corbin, New Day, Natalya, and the Riot Squad.
As a unit.
They were just called up. And to SmackDown, Miz, Seth, Finn, Absolution, the Good Brothers, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, and Alexa Bliss.
And that's from Sean Far From Blandford.
Yes. So what we've done, we've kind of done a WWE draft of Raw and SmackDown. We haven't done it trade by trade. What we've done is we've split each brand into main event, mid-card.
Well, this is how you've done it.
And then you had to follow my lead.
But I sort of haven't done it this way.
What have you done then?
I've done swaps. I've done as it's going to be. I've done
after I said do it this way.
You didn't say do it this way. You said this is how I'm doing it.
I mean, that's as good as saying do what I did. All right. Well, we haven't done that then. But I at least, and then Luke can explain his. I've broken each brand down into main event, mid card, tag team, and the women's division, and I picked around 4 to 6 acts for each one that I would build it around in the going forward.
I mean, I've more or less done the same thing.
Okay then. So
it's just mine's not. I've basically split mine into like who was in the WWE Championship picture, who was in like the IC / mid card scene, so on and so forth. But like rather than sort of who you're going to build those divisions around.
So should we start with the SmackDown women? And we can work our way. I mean, I don't want to say up to the main event because that implies they're the lowest down.
That's what WWE would suggest, is you are being relegated to the B show.
So I've traded Asuka to SmackDown. I've traded Bayley to SmackDown, and that's it. Because, of course, you've got the iconic duo still there. You've got the Riot Squad, Naomi and Charlotte. I think that's a good heavy division. And it's just the idea of having Bayley and Charlotte together again. It doesn't make me excited for Asuka. I don't know why I'm burying my own picks now. It doesn't make me excited about Asuka, but I don't know. I'm not excited about Asuka at the moment.
Strix killed you, man.
Yeah. Well, it's not just that. If they had some follow-up for the next night, character work.
Yeah, that was my issue with it. Is that there's no... I mean, you'll see it on the...
Yeah, you've done a good video about that,
Well, you say good. I mean, I'll let the SWAF Nation decide if it's good or not. But there is a video about it, an opinion piece.
So, and you have gone for... Let's scroll
the way
do you
want to do what you're... Because I've only swapped 2 women as well, I think.
Which are...
So going from SmackDown to Raw... We've done this?
No, from Raw to SmackDown.
Okay, Raw to SmackDown then.
Your notes are very confusing.
Well, I wrote them down in my way. Then you've completely changed the format of this show, and now my notes make no sense. But I've swapped Sonya Deville and Dana Brooke. But really, I should have added Bayley in there as well. In fact, I think I may, at the very last edition, add Bayley into there as well, because...
Because you want to copy those are great picks, by the way, man. Well, that's really going to bolster SmackDown's division.
Well, that's the thing, because
Dana Brooke.
Well, because my SmackDown women's division then becomes based around Charlotte, Natty, Ruby Riott, the Iconics, and Sonya Deville, and then Bayley. And I've written Dana Brooke, so I'm like, well, not really Dana Brooke, and that's because. And this is why your way doesn't work, because I've swapped Becky Lynch over to Raw. And the reason why I've done that as well is because I was looking at the Raw women's division when I started swapping through, so I was like, man, the Raw women's division does seem stale AF at the moment. So that's why I wasn't going to move Becky across initially, but now I'm going to move Becky over. Well, but I'm going to add Bayley into my from Raw to SmackDown.
Well, my Raw women's division, I think, is just a future. So the only trades I've done, so I guess I've only done 2 trades to SmackDown, which were Asuka and Bayley. And going the other way, Becky Lynch and Natalya. But that then gives you a women's division, top 6 here. I've got Ember Moon, Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, Nia Jax, Natalya, and Ronda Rousey.
You know what's so funny is I haven't even put Ronda Rousey down in my list.
I kind of forgot that was a thing, because I see her, she's so big time.
Yeah.
I was like, well, she should be fighting for the Universal Championship, right?
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah, when we were going through this, and you said it as well, I was just like, oh my God, WWE do have enough talent depth to fill out quite comfortably 2 brands.
Oh, 100%. And this is why it was actually quite a wise move to do. It's just they don't often utilise all the talent they've got. Because my Raw Women's division then would be based around Nia, Becky, Ember Moon, Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Sasha Banks, and then sort of Mandy Rose, because with the split of her and Sonya Deville, you can then give both of them singles pushes where they're not being hampered down by being as a sort of like tag team unit that's going nowhere.
I think I've had an oversight.
Why, who have you had an oversight with?
There's no Alexa Bliss anywhere.
I was going to say, you haven't got Alexa Bliss in your Raw.
Man, that's just another compliment to the depth. What? No Mickey James.
Well,
she could just align herself with a random person.
Exactly. Who's going to be her best friend this week? That's it could be Ronda Rousey. So Ronda Rousey would also be in my Raw. I didn't think I've completely. Again, it's because she hasn't been involved really in the women's division. I sort of forgot about that aspect.
She won the women's Royal Rumble. What are you talking about?
She did. She pointed the sign.
Yeah.
She won it via points.
I'm pretty sure that's right. In all the lasting images in my head of that event. So my tag division on SmackDown, Bludgeon Brothers, I'm keeping as champs.
Oh, I've just seen an NXT call-up in there.
Why are you looking ahead, man? You're only ruining it for yourself. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, I have traded over to SmackDown. It'll become, I think you can figure out why. There's another person associated with them. But the New Day are still in the tag division. But Big E and Kofi have been split from Xavier Woods. Wow. Xavier Woods has moved to Raw, and Big E and Kofi decide to continue as a unit.
I like that. That's nice. Yeah, my...
I've got one more.
Sorry, yeah. Oh, yeah,
the NXT call-up. Heavy Machinery.
Very cool.
For some big bastard Bludgeon Brothers showdowns.
That's quite cool,
I just thought, I can't remember who I've put in my Raw tag. Yeah, so it's kind of... you could really create just a big bastard division in the tag. You could have Bludgeon Brothers, Heavy Machinery, Authors of Pain, and Gil Anderson. And who are War Machine?
Oh, sorry, War Raiders.
War Raiders, that's more like it. So that's my SmackDown tag. What have you got?
So I have got my trades are from SmackDown to Raw. I have traded the Usos and American Beta. And from Raw to SmackDown, I have traded Galanderson and the Revival.
I forgot the Revival are a great shout.
Yes.
There's a few acts in WWE that you're like, you are so good, but you've been buried on this brand.
Yeah.
Just to trade over.
That's what I was thinking.
Reignite them.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, what the Revival need is just like they just need a clean slate where they can go across and then just completely. It's the Usos.
Yeah.
When the brand split first happened, the Usos and Naomi are like two of the best examples of what can happen when you have a brand split, because they just went off, just reinvented their characters, and the Usos are now like one of the best teams in WWE now, like hands down, and that's the brand split is a benefit of that. I think the Revival clean slate could really pick themselves up. So that means your my Raw tag team divisions is then based around the Usos, Authors of Pain, American Beta, The Bar, and Woken Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt. And then my SmackDown tag team division is built around Galanderson, Revival, New Day, Bludgeon Brothers, and my new team of Corbin and Mojo Rawley. So there's like teaming together as the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal winners. And basically,
you've got to do something with it, haven't you?
Well, exactly. You got to do something with them, and it worked really well. Like when Sheamus and Cesaro got together, we all were like, "No, God, that's going to be disastrous."
That's a good point.
And here we are, a few years later. They're again one of the best teams that WWE have got. And my other one that I've got as sort of like a very much a lower down in this sort of tag team totem pole is the Bollywood Boys.
Yes.
The other one that's injured at the moment comes back, and so you got them as sort of like as another tag team, and then with the SmackDown division.
When you were talking about switching up, moving across an act to reinvigorate them, and perfect example with the Usos, my head weirdly just went, yeah, the Colognes were pretty good. Remember that 1 week where because they were what was their name?
Not Shooting Stars.
Yeah,
the
Shining
Stars.
Shining Stars.
They are, man. Talk about a WWE career of just like pants gimmicks again and again and again.
But they are. I thought they were making that gimmick work. I was one of the few people who really enjoyed the Shining Stars handing out the travel brochure gimmick. And then they traded across and they debuted. They laid out the tag division. They were in street clothes. I was like, here we go. I'm a huge fan of Epico as a wrestler. I think he's really, really good and talented. But nope. that was literally a 1 week thing.
Well, one of them got injured, didn't they?
Not then.
Oh, was it not then?
That quick. No. That happened a few months after.
I thought they'd revivaled themselves and that one of them got injured and the other one wasn't. And then when the other one was ready, the other one got injured. Because Primo was in the Battle Royal.
Yeah.
And he was on SmackDown last week.
Epico's got a weird history over the last year, because there was a period when his T-shirt and merchandise appeared on Pro Wrestling Tees. And that a lot of people were like, well, WWE contracted people can't do that. And there was rumours that he'd asked for his release, but you haven't seen him since. It's a strange one. I don't know what's going on.
Interesting. So let's hear your mid-card choices.
Well,
then.
I didn't finish off my tag picks.
Sorry,
you jumped ahead of me. So my Raw tag team division is very similar to yours. The Usos, Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin, Authors of Pain, and Woken Man and Bray. So yes, there's an omission of The Bar there. We'll get on to that later.
Interesting.
In fact, should we get on to it?
Did I read out my Raw? I did read out my Raw choice,
Yeah, you did
I?
all of your... you spunked it all in one go.
That's the way to do it.
My mid-card is Jinder Mahal as champion at the moment.
Is this SmackDown?
This is SmackDown, sorry. Jinder Mahal as champion, so not a trade. Rusev, not a trade. Baron Corbin, not a trade. Miz being traded across. We both said we don't really like seeing people go from brand to brand year to year, but I feel like having Miz on the same brand as Daniel Bryan, spoiler, is perfect, and it suits his character, just always fleeing places. But the main one is I would have the Bar break up, just get drafted to different teams, because I know that I mean, I don't think I've really voiced this opinion. They are very, very solid. But do I think that's the best use of Cesaro and Sheamus?
Oh, no, I completely agree with you on that, yeah. I was amazed, stunned in fact, on Raw when the Bar said that they were going to win at Greatest Royal Rumble and they would be 5-time Raw Tag Team Champions.
My Lord.
And I was like, bloody hell, 5-time. I can't tell you much about like the other 4 wins that they had, apart from the last reign, really, and their feud they had with the New Day.
And the amazing feud with Nicholas.
Yeah, and the amazing feud they had with Nicholas. But then, I do think that together they would be much better. Yeah. Apart they would be much better.
So I would have Cesaro here in the mix for the United States gimmick. So what have I got there? I've got a Canadian, billed from India, a Bulgarian in Rusev, and a Swissman with Cesaro fighting over the US Championship.
Nice, good work.
Well, I mean, that's the way WWE do that, or at NXT at least.
Oh, the problem is that they'd all be foreign heels.
I hope not. Rusev could be a foreign babyface. Well, that is... I mean, Cesaro would have to be babyface, Rusev would be babyface, Jinder, Baron and Miz all heels.
Yeah, so who's your Raw mid-card?
So my Raw mid-card, big main event on Raw.
Oh, hang about here. That's
well,
come on.
Okay. Well, we are allowed NXT call-ups.
I wasn't the one I was
okay.
Well,
I'll start from... So Bobby Roode has been traded across... because I think he's one of those like revival-like acts.
Yeah,
he hasn't done anything, and it's a real shame because he's got great entrance music. So Bobby Roode over to the Intercontinental title mix. Of course, that would be with Seth Rollins in there. Sheamus would stay on Raw. That's not a trade, but they've broken up the bar. I really like Sheamus as a wrestler. I hope he can deal with his injuries. I'm worried. There's not much time left in him.
I wonder whether they are going to split up the bar. As I said, like on the Raw and SmackDown shows this week, they kept putting over this idea that tag teams are going to get split up, or tag teams could be split up. So I do think there will be some tag teams that get split up in this,
really
at least one or two. And I could see the bar being one of those, because that adds then like an extra level of drama of them tagging together at the Greatest Royal Rumble. Or facing off against, whoever it is. Because if they win, what's going to happen to the tag team belts then? I think that's some really nice drama to it.
They are both such good singles wrestlers, and Sheamus is the perfect guy who can exist in the mid-card, but when you need him to, he can go up into a main event feud just for a bit, and then come back down again for a B pay-per-view. I really like Sheamus as a heavyweight talent. But on the flip side, to those heavyweights of Sheamus and Bobby Roode... Bobby Roode isn't really heavyweight, but he's got a big build. Xavier Woods, I'd start to get that real underdog push. He's been split up from his New Day chums, and now he's got to make it by himself on Raw, and he's gunning for the Intercontinental title belt.
Love that.
And I love Xavier Woods as a babyface. I think he could be really pure in the Johnny Gargano sense of the word. And now this is where Luke's going to start getting angry with me.
I'm not getting angry with you. Are we doing this as a competition? Are we doing a vote thing for it?
What?
Like who has the better...
I know. I just thought we'd shoot the breeze, man.
Well, it's fine, only because I thought with the choices that you've made, you were going to win more or less in a landslide, because you're giving what people want, which is NXT call-ups, which I actually don't think will happen next week. I don't think we're going to see a single NXT call-up next week, because you don't... It's not a thing you do on the Superstar Shake-Up. You do that on the Raw or SmackDown after Mania, as opposed to the week following.
Well, I don't know why. I mean, we've only had one Superstar Shake-Up ever.
But like the idea of
the rules are not defined.
Well,
and even if they are, they could change.
They just change them. But like going by what they say about the Superstar Shake-Up, which is the stars of Raw and the stars of SmackDown are going to swap. It's not like a Kurt Angle and Paige and everyone else just sits down and be like, oh, can we also poach some people from NXT? But if they'd done it that way, then that might add a bit more drama to it. But the way that it's kind of defined at the moment, it's just people from Raw going to SmackDown and vice versa.
Well, I don't know why you're bringing up NXT so much, because my next pick is CM Punk. Now, my next pick is Andrade Cien Almas.
Well, I mean, I've always been like an Almas to SmackDown kind of guy.
Oh, I know. I think he's a Raw guy.
Oh, no, I always see him as a SmackDown
He's main event like he's money, isn't he? Like that he's living the high life.
Are you trying to say that SmackDown's not a main event thing?
No, I'm not, but I can see how that could be misconstrued.
Yeah.
So I think Almas immediately inserted into that Intercontinental title picture, feuding with Seth Rollins. To be honest, I would have Rollins drop the IC belt fastish so he can go up to the main event scene. That's long-term plan for my thing I came up with half an hour ago. And sort of making his big WWE return, the one that Luke is annoyed about here.
Not annoyed, it's just I don't see why you put that name down.
Neville!
Like, I know, but it's like, okay, let's realistically book a Superstar Shake-Up. What we could do, Neville. You may as well have said CM Punk.
No, he could legitimately come back. Nobody knows what's going on with him.
I would love it. Absolutely would love it.
Yeah.
Honestly, 100%. I would mark out, and I think it'd be the best thing ever.
I think Superstar Shake-Up. We're going to unveil the final pick in an Intercontinental title match with Seth Rollins. We've just booked it. and it's Neville comes out and beats Seth Rollins.
Well, only that. Not only do I love it because it's Neville coming back, but it's Neville not being stuck into that cruiserweight mold. Because that's what we always said when Neville was there, is that Neville needs to get out of this cruiserweight title picture and needs to get back up into this mid-card thing because he's so much better than just being a cruiserweight.
Nothing wrong with cruiserweights,
and there's nothing wrong with cruiserweights, but at that point, it was very much seen as just like you are like when Enzo went to the cruiserweights, that was seen as a demotion.
So that's my mid-card scene. What about you? What are you?
What have
for?
I got? So I've got.
I'm not going to look like you did. I'm gonna look up here.
So my US title scene, which is now on Raw, with title holder Jinder Mahal, has been.
Vince would love that.
He has been drafted over to Raw with the US Championship, and the sort of. I need to try and find the best way because your way of doing it was much better than mine.
Yes.
But he is going to be.
Yes, I know.
But he's going to be in a sort of like a mid-card US title scene built around Jinder, Fandango, split away from Tyler Breeze, Ty Dillinger, Elias, No Way Jose, also transferred across to Mike Kanellis, The Miz, and Goldust, sort of build the sort of thing around them.
On Raw?
On Raw, yeah.
I'm not going to lie, man. That's a pretty weak mid-card.
But your main event is stacked with Raw.
Okay.
And on fairness, I feel like I have favoured SmackDown over Raw with this, because my SmackDown mid-card scene is based around Seth Rollins, IC champ, who's been transferred across, with Rusev, Bobby Roode, the New Day all individually also going for the the belts as well.
So I wouldn't have them feud.
So they're not feuding. But like they're not just in that tag team picture. So that when they're not like in a tag team feud, they can also singularly, maybe just Xavier Woods, maybe just Kofi Kingston, also in that sort of that mix with Tyler Breeze, Tyler Breeze now as a single star, back to his Prince Pretty gimmick with the returning Big Cass, renamed Colin Cassidy, who's been transferred for Raw to SmackDown, and Apollo, no surname, who's also been again. It's one of those people. Just a fresh, clean slate away from the Titus Worldwide gimmick could do him some wonders.
I think
that Raw mid-card is absolutely shonky.
Yeah.
Absolutely shonky.
For a 3-hour show as well.
It's so dreadful. I mean, I was only now, as I've written down now, I was like, geez, that is bad.
Yeah.
That is really bad.
So I really agree with Tyler Breeze as moving him across. As much as it would pain me to see them break up, there's a lot of money in Tyler Breeze as Prince Pretty. Apollo, I don't think it's a lack of push that's stopping him as well. I don't. Apart from the athletic ability, I don't. There's nothing there for me to get my teeth into.
I think Apollo does have something, but it's just that they.
What is it?
I don't know. But when I see him in the ring and when I watch him wrestle, I'm like, could easily be like a really upper mid card guy. But there's just something isn't kicking, something isn't clicking, something isn't connecting with the audience. And I think that it's going over to SmackDown, fresh start, maybe a change up of character. That could really help.
Is it clicking with you, though?
No, he doesn't click with me at the moment, but when I watch him wrestle, I'm like, damn, he's good. Like, he's really, really good. And I just need, what you need is just like, maybe, that's what I said, it's that you go to a different brand, complete change of character, the Usos, Naomi, you change that character up, and then maybe that's what works for him. I think that he's just missing something, and going over to a new brand, maybe you'll find out what that something is.
I'm worried, and I really hope that I'm proved wrong, but he doesn't have a character, and he's never shown me anything in promos, backstage bits, nothing to tell me that he can execute a character.
I don't know, man. I think give him a shot. I think like it's what he really needs is a character. He just needs something.
Okay, so my SmackDown main event, and this is where I was worried when I listed out my SmackDown 6. Yeah, I was worried when I listed that out. I'd be like, oh no, I've taken all the good stars and Raw isn't going to have any. And then I looked through the list of WWE contracted wrestlers and I was like, holy moly, Raw's what? So it's how WWE are not putting on the greatest product in the world right now is beyond me. Anyway,
well, that's what I'm hoping, that when I look at my Raw main event, I can just I'll make the excuse. Yes, some of them can also go down into the IC, the US Championship feuds as well. That was always my plan.
So I've picked 6, and to be honest, there's actually only 1.5 trades.
Yep.
So Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, and Shinsuke Nakamura, I'm not touching that. That is the most exciting thing in wrestling to me right now. that three-way feud and Nakamura as a heel and Bryan coming back and AJ being AJ. Did you see the adverts for upcoming house shows, cards subject to change? A lot of adverts through June and July advertising Styles versus Nakamura versus Corbin in a three-way.
Where's Bryan at then?
Yeah. I'm hoping they're adverts that were approved clearance.
Well, I wonder what's going to be on the house show loop when they come over to the UK. Because that'd be really interesting to see.
It might just be Bryan might not be doing house shows.
Could be, actually, yeah.
God, I hope it's that. So those are my three guys in that. Of course, AJ's current champion, but then I'd have Randy Orton move up away from Jinder. I think Randy Orton could be a good... He's like your veteran in this mix. I think... I mean, AJ's definitely been wrestling longer than Randy. But you know how WWE like to...
Yeah.
AJ's the new kid on the block.
He is, yeah.
Wrestling since WCW.
He's only just got here.
Yeah.
What has he learned?
And so, yeah, I'll pop Randy Orton up there. I'd trade Finn Balor across as a heel, preferably. Of course, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson would come with him. And that would set up a really nice... I mean, I'd have faces, Daniel Bryan and Finn Balor against... what did I just say? Faces, sorry, AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan, and heels Nakamura and Finn. And you've got that Japan...
Oh, so you're turning heel Finn?
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Heel, yeah.
You've got that Japanese Bullet Club history that they can all play on. Randy Orton's kind of like a tweener. He's just a dick, RKOing everyone and being cool. But then, there's a new plucky babyface on the scene. Yep. Who's this guy? Looks an awful lot like it's El Generico. So of course, Sami Zayn's been fired. I don't know how they're going to get round this, and that I can. This is the way round it, surely for Sami, but Owens, I don't know. So that's my six main event. My SmackDown 6.
It's funny because I've also forgotten Zayn and Owens in both of my lists.
Yeah, it's
completely
crazy, isn't
forgot.
It? So that's SmackDown, and then my Raw main event scene is because you think Raw main event scene, and they're like the big guys, right? Although I prefer the SmackDown guys, just like name value and star appeal, they feel like your heavyweight draws. So
I mean, they're fighting over the championship of the whole universe.
Exactly. So I've got Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman, Samoa Joe, Brock Lesnar. I haven't done any trades. Okay, so those, of course,
Raw's main event scene. Just keep it as it is at the moment.
Yeah, if there's one thing that's perfect. Just book it better, though, and it would be. Okay, so Reigns, Strowman, Joe, Lesnar. I would move Jeff Hardy up. Mm-hmm. So I think Jeff Hardy, he's a main eventer, and I don't know why he isn't pushed harder. But maybe it's various addiction problems. Seth Rollins, I'd have him drop the IC title. He'd be in the top mix. I'd put Kevin Owens there. So I guess that's a trade. I have no idea how to make that happen, though, in terms of storyline continuity.
Well, Karen did say he's got one spot. He did say I've got one spot on the roster, so if Generico's going over to Smacky D...
Or maybe Stephanie goes over his head. There's the Triple H, Kevin Owens connection that they've just forgotten about.
Oh, that really intricate storyline that they really cleverly told all those years ago.
There was that one shot of Triple H talking to Kevin Owens backstage, and you didn't even hear what they said.
No.
This is the payoff.
Oh, finally.
Bobby Lashley.
No, I think Lashley is in mine. I was trying to think that if I've got him listed down.
And then I've put, I think this is perfect. I know he's just debuted in NXT, but from a look perspective, as in physicality and just the size of the guy and his facial expressions, I think he could be a brilliant heavyweight comedy foil EC3. And I think he's worth calling up now.
And I was going to say, you have said oh no, he's only just debuted, but it's not like EC3 needs to go to NXT to learn how to work.
For camera as well.
For camera, exactly. He's been working in Impact for the last few years. He could literally he could have debuted on the main roster and been fine. Bobby Lashley did, after all. He'd have been our eat.
Yeah.
And it's the same with War Machine. I think could have just debuted straight onto the main roster and been fine. Sorry, War Raiders, and just been fine. There's a lot of guys that they sign up that they send to NXT. I think for more or less zero reason other than to adapt to the WWE style. Air quotes.
So who have you got here to close the show?
To close out the show. So my Universal Championship picture over on Raw.
I'm looking. Oh, so you're going for Raw first?
I'll go with Raw first.
Do you want to go for SmackDown? Because I want to see how ridiculously stacked you built this up.
As in my, well, I was going to say my, which is like my SmackDown 6, which is AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, Daniel Bryan, Jeff Hardy, who I've shot over
That's
to.
a very good shout.
Into like that
Yeah,
WWE
that's
Championship
a
picture.
really good. Get him away from Matt. Yeah,
Exactly. That's the other side of it as well. Getting away from that into the WWE Championship picture, along with the two other trades, Seth Rollins and Finn Balor. So that's your SmackDown 6.
Jesus,
AJ
that's great.
Nakamura, Daniel Bryan, Jeff Hardy, Seth Rollins, and Finn Balor. That's a really stacked SmackDown 6.
I can't argue with that, and I like how Jeff would sort of replace what I had as Randy.
Yeah,
as the veteran in that group.
Yeah, and I
WWE veteran.
And I had Randy in there at one point as well, but then I took him out because I was going to move him over to Raw into that Raw main event because I think he's better suited to that Raw main event.
Yeah.
Again, we're using he feels like a star, so to speak, and that into that Universal Championship picture. And like with that as well, because I've said Seth in that mid card, like you can just sort of there's so many, like Jeff can move down into that picture, he can move back up. A lot of interchanging you can do with some of those guys. And there's the same with the Universal Championship stuff. My US title picture, as I've listed out here, is based around a lot of rebuilding people and kind of like elevating people into a status. But you can move some of these people down, trade them up, and this, that, and the other. Because my Universal Championship picture is Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, Randy Orton, Bobby Roode moved over and given him a bit more star power, Jason Jordan, Samoa Joe, and Bobby Lashley. Like that's, and then obviously again, I forgot Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, I was going to say there's the Universal Champion in there.
Well, in my head, Roman's winning it.
Yes,
he's going to be winning it. Great Royal Rumble. And obviously, Brock is in there as well, but I'm not sure if Brock is sticking around to build an entire division around him in the years for the rest of the year or what have you. So yeah, that's sort of where I was thinking. Basically, looking at the way that I've booked this, I would only want to watch SmackDown. But I think there'd be some good stuff on Raw, but I'd be more interested in watching SmackDown every week.
You watch it for Samoa Joe.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, SmackDown would be ridiculously stacked. So I read a comment on Wednesday's WrestleRamble.
Maybe it's because I do SmackDown reviews.
Yeah, that said, God, does anyone else feel like SmackDown's too short? I was like, that's the point! Keep it that way!
Yeah.
Keep it that way. Anyway, that's all we've got time for today. Tell us how short an episode this was in the comments. We've given you so much content there in the last week. So click the videos that have just appeared on our laps to catch up with the latest WrestleTalk news and WrestleRamble. Subscribe to this channel and, of course, the podcast version wherever you get your podcasts. This has been Luke Owen, I've been Ollie Davis, and that was Rambling.